Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We have a small chance for rain this afternoon as a weak front comes through. I'll show you how much we could see over the next several days.
I'm Brett Neese in Asheville, where today there are new roadblocks set up to protect some of the damaged areas here in this town. Coming up, I'll show you some of the damage in other parts of western North Carolina, including the Guerin Creek community, where some homes were completely wiped off their foundation.
And President Joe Biden is visiting North Carolina today to tour that damage in the western part of our state. We're going to talk more about that trip and why he's making a stop in Raleigh beforehand. A lot of things happening, but still, those images you see, the aerial shots and everything, it still just hits you right in the gut. But help is still coming for you people out there in the western part of our state. Thank you so much for joining us here on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Let's get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. She's talking about the weather and what we can expect later today.
Lots of clouds out there this morning. We have a weak front that'll be crossing the state. We have a few sprinkles that are starting to show up there near the Virginia line. And we'll have just a small chance for rain today, especially during the afternoon and evening. That front is not going to be powerful enough to bring us a whole lot of rain today. It is dry down Fayetteville Street as we take a look from our Jimmy V camp. Right now it is 69 degrees and our dew point at 65 is a little lower than yesterday. So that's putting us sort of in the tolerable zone. It's a 20% chance of rain at lunchtime and about a 30% chance later on this afternoon. Our temperatures will climb up to around 80 degrees later on today. We're still watching this area where we could have a disturbance form in the Gulf of Mexico. It's a 40% chance. Right now it looks like we're going to have a series of fronts. One of those by early next week will be strong enough to hold all this moisture down to the south. So it may be that it moves across Florida as we get into the beginning of next week. That's going to be Tuesday morning. Of course, Florida, heavily damaged by Helene as well. So we'll be watching that, but it doesn't look like that is going to come here.
All right, happening now in the WO Traffic Center, Elizabeth. We've got a couple of things we're looking at in terms of your morning commute this morning. Let's start with this crash on Capitol Boulevard in the westbound lane near Brentwood Road. You can see we're still seeing some delays in that particular area, so just watch for that this morning. You got a couple of options around there. Skycrest Road might be an option for you in terms of getting around what you're seeing on Brentwood Road this morning. Of course, for our good friends coming in from Wake Forest, you're looking at a delay this morning, and some of you use Lewisburg Road as an alternate route. That has its own issues as well. This is the delays you're looking at this morning. You're looking at a 13-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest this morning. Just a couple of minutes if you're coming in from Nightdale and those I-87 southbound lanes, which is good news. Now, here's something else that's getting better. If you're coming in on US 1 from Apex, you're only looking at a 2-minute delay. If you isolate the Beltline this morning, you can see what we're talking about. You see the usual delays happening there on the south side of the Beltline. There are a couple of crashes that cleared recently, and of course, the northern side of the Beltline. Either way, you're looking at a 3 to 5 minute delay if you're getting ready to head out this morning.
All right, thanks, Ken. Today, President Joe Biden will visit the state to meet with emergency responders and get a closer look at the devastation left behind from Helene. Search and rescue crews are working to find hundreds of people still missing after the flooding. Damaged roads and communication lines are keeping those crews from getting to many people who need help now 6 days after the storm started hitting the western part of the state. As WRAL's Kelsey Coffey shares, Biden says his administration will be jump-starting the recovery effort.
Air Force One will land here at RDU in a few hours. President Biden will leave D.C. and head to Raleigh later this afternoon. The president will have a briefing with workers at the Emergency Operations Center. From there, he will go to Asheville for an aerial tour of the damage. As he flies over Asheville, the president will see a community devastated by catastrophic flooding. Helene brought in more than a foot of rain in Asheville over a 3-day period, the largest 3-day rain total on record for the city. President Biden approved a major disaster declaration for North Carolina over the weekend. Since then, people in 25 counties across the state are now eligible to apply for FEMA assistance. More counties could be added to that list as damage assessments continue. We'll have a crew here at RDU to keep you updated as the president arrives. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News at RDU.
Those search and rescue efforts across western North Carolina are growing more desperate as time passes. WRAL's Brett Neese is in Asheville this morning. And Brett, yes, the devastation has happened in Asheville, but also smaller communities too.
That's right, Chris. And every day that we've been out here, I've been here since Sunday, we learn about another community every day, more than one community each day that has gone through very similar situations, just absolute devastation. Yesterday, we went to the Garin Creek community. Take a look at this video. It is unbelievable, haunting to look at some parts because there are homes that have been completely wiped off their foundation. We toured it with the Garin Creek fire chief there, and he pointed out where some of those homes were, and you would have no idea otherwise if you weren't from there. And the people in that community, they really are family. A lot of them are family and still so shocked by what has happened to them.
So I realized we were stuck at the house. And in trying to save things and everything, the water rose so fast and got so strong that I just had to grab a post and hold on. And when it got up to about this close to the ceiling, I got worried that I was going to run out of air.
It's Bud Marlowe. He and his wife somehow, some way made it out safely. And the resilience of this community is incredible to watch, to be able to see that firsthand. They came together at this nearby church. That's where they set up sort of a center point for all those who have lost so much in this storm, for people that need shelter, food, supplies. We were there as a helicopter dropped some of those supplies. The fire chief tells me that they've recovered 4 bodies at this point, and at least 6 more people are missing in their community alone. Live in Asheville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
And this morning, crews from 5 Wake County fire departments will leave for western North Carolina to help with recovery from Helene. 21st responders from the Garner, Hopkins, Holly Springs, Morrisville, and Zebulon fire departments will leave just after 8 o'clock, so they're leaving right now. They are the latest crews to deploy. Other fire crews, EMS units, and swift water rescue teams have made their way to the western part of the state in recent days.
Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has been helping storm victims in western North Carolina, but now he's facing criticism for some of the work that he's doing and did not do. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. And Laura, Robinson didn't vote for Governor Cooper's request for emergency services last week.
Chris, good morning. Yes, we just heard from a spokesperson here telling us that he just arrived a few minutes ago. He's speaking with the chief right now before giving a brief to the media about the efforts. But the lieutenant governor has been working with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office to get more supplies and resources to the western part of our state. As we know, with this briefing, he in recent days has criticized Governor Roy Cooper for calling on him to send more resources to the people out west. Now, WRAL has learned that he did not vote for Cooper's request for emergency services last week. When we asked his staff in his office, why he didn't vote, his chief said that in a statement, they didn't address the question. Former Governor Pat McCrory criticized Robinson for needling Cooper in the middle of a crisis, telling our NC Capitol team, quote, "This is not a time for criticism. This is a time for working together. You don't do that while they're still in the middle of search and rescue." Now, again, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, he does plan to give a briefing on some of the recovery efforts heading out west. We'll keep you updated on how that goes this morning. You can also find more on his response to the storm on WRAL.com. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Franklin County.
Last night's vice presidential showdown proving to be a more traditional debate than the mudslinging of recent past. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz facing off in New York City for a fast-paced and at times fiery policy-driven debate. Brian Abel has more.
The running mates taking center stage for the only vice presidential debate, quickly addressing foreign policy following Iran's attack on Israel just hours earlier.
It's those that were closest to Donald Trump that understand how dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous.
For people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world.
Democratic Governor Tim Walz and Republican Senator J.D. Vance clashing on immigration.
Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to do this, and he promised you, America, how easy it would be.
And the economy.
If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now. Not when asking for a promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago.
Walz struggling when confronted about his claim of being present for the deadly Tiananmen Square protest.
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke.
And Vance deflecting when asked about Trump's false claims that he won the 2020 election.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
That was Brian Abel reporting.
The importing and exporting of many important items, it's on hold right now. That's because of tens of thousands of dock workers on the East and Gulf Coast on strike for a second day. The strike is clogging dozens of ports, and this could potentially raise prices at the grocery store and in other ways. The ports account for more than half of the nation's container imports, and that includes fresh fruit, furniture, clothing, and many other everyday items. President Joe Biden is calling for the U.S. Maritime Alliance to make its workers a fair offer to get them back to work. A family managed to escape danger as Helene hit their Buncombe County home. Hear how a neighbor was able to step in and help them out.
Plus, Sean Diddy Combs could soon face more legal trouble. What we know about the additional 120 cases one lawyer plans to file.
And gray skies to start with this morning. A small chance for showers or thunderstorms this afternoon. And then we move into a bit of a drier pattern. I'll show you when we'll finally see a drop in the humidity coming up.
Welcome back. 8:14 on your Wednesday morning as we take a nice look over Lake Gaston this morning. Clouds in the sky. You could see some blue sky a little bit there, but pretty cloudy there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking the rain that we're seeing. Not too much. It's really spotty across the state.
We are likely to have just an isolated shower here or there. It looks like a couple of sprinkles have popped up near the Virginia line. I'm tracking this weak front that's going to come across the state today, bringing just a small chance of rain for the mountains or for us. We take a look at future forecast, and you can see a lot of cloud cover between now and lunchtime. And then during the afternoon, we may see a few holes in the clouds and a couple of showers that pop up. But we're not looking at anything widespread as this front moves through. And then maybe a little bit more sunshine by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. It's just a 30% chance today, 20 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, just to kind of cover the bases because it'll still be on the humid side. We add a little bit of heat to that in the afternoon, and we could see a shower pop up. But really, we take a look at our forecast rainfall all the way through the next 7 days, and it's really minimal. We'll finally get one of the bigger fronts to come through late Monday night into Tuesday, and that's going to deliver some more comfortable temperatures and lower humidity. But between now and then, it is going to be a little muggy. You can see the green shaded areas all the way through Monday. That's where it's a little bit more humid. But then we turn yellow, which is a drier, more comfortable air mass, and our dew points will drop into the 50s, which puts us right down there at that comfortable zone. We'll see nice temperatures with lows in the 50s and highs in the 70s. So that's coming by Tuesday, so we still have a little ways to go. Watching the potential for some development in the Gulf. It's a 40% chance and 90% chance that another system coming off the Gulf, off the coast of Africa could get a name eventually. It would be Leslie if it does. Taking a look at what we could see here in the Gulf of Mexico, there is about a 50 to 60% chance that this could become a tropical depression. But that front that's going to bring us that drier air early next week will also hold all that moisture down to the south. So no part of North Carolina is currently in line for any of that tropical moisture, but Florida is. And of course, that could be an issue for them with some heavy rainfall. We also have Kirk that's out there, could become a major hurricane, but it just stays out here in the Atlantic without affecting anyone, which is definitely good news. How about the weekend? It looks pretty good. We'll see partly cloudy skies. We're back to some sunshine. Highs are in the low 80s, feeling a little bit muggy here. And then we get into the early part of next week, Tuesday in particular, we start to see that nice drop in humidity, and we'll talk more about when that actually falls coming up. Ken?
Excellent. Happening now in the WO Traffic Center. Let's start at Durham, shall we? There's a situation that's brewing on I-885 in the southbound lane near TW Alexander Drive. Right now, we're not seeing any delays in the immediate area, but if we widen out the view, give you a wider picture of I-885, you can see delays in both directions there on I-885. Depending on where you're headed this morning, you might take Highway 70 as an alternate route into the Bowl City. And if you're leaving the Bowl City, coming to the capital city, you might want to hop on Highway 55 as an alternate route to avoid what's the slowdowns that we're seeing on I-885 this morning. Back here in Wake County, we're seeing an accident in the downtown area in Edenton Street in the westbound lane, not far from Tarboro Road. Not seeing any delays in that area for those of you who navigate downtown Raleigh for your work commute this morning. Not seeing any problems this morning. This crash just cleared a little bit ago near the Beltline. That's not causing any problems for you this morning, but we're still seeing those lingering delays. The other trouble spot out here. US 1 coming in from Wake Forest this morning. Of course, Lewisburg Road has its own issues as well. You're looking at an 11-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest this morning. Those eastbound lanes of I-40, you got a 13-minute delay happening this morning, but very little to no delays on any of the other major routes this morning. Listen, if you're heading out this morning, you can stay up to date on what your morning commute will look like and listen to us on WRAL News Plus at 101.5 HD3.
New legislation works to help the Secret Service better protect presidential candidates. President Joe Biden signed the bill into law yesterday. It allows Secret Service to assign higher staffing levels to presidential and vice presidential candidates. That will give them the same standard of protection as Biden himself gets. Congress passed the bill after an apparent second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
We're hearing from a Buncombe County family who narrowly escaped the flooding that happened at their home during Helene. A window in their laundry room. That was the only way the family of four could get out of the house. They were able to climb onto the roof where they were rescued. This right here on your screen. This is what is left of John and Stephanie Zara's home in Swannanoa. When they realized they were in danger, they climbed into the attic with their 2- and 7-year-old, but the water kept rising. Eventually, they had no choice but to go onto the roof.
We were on the roof. We watched it rise and rise and rise, and we just kept praying, please do not, go above. I mean, we were so inches away from losing, it all.
But they're still alive. After hours of shouting for help, a neighbor on a kayak came to their rescue, and they're now staying with the family in South Carolina.
Thank goodness they are okay this morning. Wow. Well, a man lost his home and he and his dog are safe after a neighbor was able to pull him from his roof again during flooding from Helene. This is what's left of Dave Donald's home in Buncombe County. Mud cakes the kitchen floor, furniture is overturned, and water still standing. Donald and his dog stayed in the home in Swannanoa through Helene. His wife was in Florida with her daughter, and Donald called her during the storm to tell her that he was in trouble.
He said water's coming into the house. And he's getting onto the bed to stay out of the water. And then within about 45 minutes, she said, water's reached the bed. They're getting onto the kitchen counters.
Wow. Water eventually filled the entire home, trapped Donald and his dog in the attic. He reached out the window to wave for help. A neighbor on a kayak actually used an axe to break through the window and pull him and the dog to safety. The Donalds did not have flood insurance, so they are working with FEMA and attorneys to try and get help.
The amount of close calls that we're hearing from that story out west, goodness. The images and stories coming out of Western North Carolina, in fact, it's just heartbreaking. And we know that region will need help rebuilding for months and even years to come. This is why WRAL, we are here to help. Starting later today, we will be taking donations during a WRAL Cares phone bank. Here's 5 on your sides. Keely Arthur.
Here we are getting the WRAL Cares phone bank set up. This kicks off later today, and we know the need to assist and support our neighbors is huge, and that is why WRAL is responding in real time.
I haven't seen my kids. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Still have no power.
From noon until 7:30, you'll be able to help folks like Brittany Neal get relief and recovery. Simply call in to donate to one of the 2 funds we're helping raise money for, the American Red Cross and with North Carolina's Disaster Relief Fund, which the United Way is helping manage. When you call in, you can choose which of those organizations you want your donation to help. The call-in is from noon until 7:30, but if you miss it, that is okay. You can still go to our website, WRAL.com, search help, and donate that way. There's going to be plenty of ways to give to this very worthy cause. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
Sean Diddy Combs may soon face new allegations for more than 100 additional men and women. A Houston-based attorney says he's representing 120 people who claim they were victimized by Combs and his associates. The accusations include sexual assault, rape, and sexual abuse of at least 25 minors, one as young as 9. The lawyer plans to file the cases against Combs and the other people accused of abuse within the next month. Combs has already been indicted on federal charges, including sex trafficking.
High school athletes will be allowed to profit from their name, image, and likeness. That's after a ruling by a Wake County judge. This ruling reverses a decision by the State Board of Education. That prohibited high schoolers from profiting from NIL. The ruling is the result of a lawsuit filed by Grimsley High School quarterback Faison Brandon. He's the top quarterback in the 2026 class, if you're not familiar. The ruling takes effect at the start of next school year.
And 2 Cumberland County football games originally scheduled for Friday are being moved to different times. A release from Cumberland County Schools says a Friday event will require a large number of law enforcement officers, so there will not be enough officers available to provide security for all the games. The game at Terry Sanford will be played tomorrow night at 6:30, and the Westover game will be on Saturday at 6:30.
Your time is 8:23. The reactions from the White House after Israel's prime minister.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a look at your forecast and another cloudy start, Elizabeth.
Yeah, it's been a lot of gray weather lately. There may be a few breaks in the clouds later on this afternoon, and there may also be a few isolated showers. 69 in Durham right now, gray skies in Raleigh, 69, and 69 in Fayetteville with a good bit of cloud cover. There was a little bit of a hole in the clouds there earlier, and certainly as we get into the afternoon, there may be a few breaks here and there. Our temperatures are in the mid to upper 60s. Our dew point has dropped into the mid 60s, so it's a little lower than it was yesterday, but it still doesn't feel like fall out there. If you're headed out for a run this evening, temperatures will be in the mid 70s, but you may be dodging an isolated shower. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We have the usual delays on most of our major roadways, the Beltline, I-540, I-885 in Durham. Here's what you're looking at. Coming in from Wake Forest, you're looking at a 10-minute delay, just about a 5-minute delay if you're coming in from Nightdale on those I-87 southbound lanes. Here's a live look at I-40 and Rock Quarry Road. Traffic flowing nicely in both directions. I'll have an update at the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50, but you can always listen to us on 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Today, President Biden will visit Raleigh before heading to the mountains. He'll have a briefing with workers at the Emergency Operations Center, then take an aerial tour of the extensive damage in Asheville. Coming up next on Fox 50, the damage we're seeing from the smaller mountain towns. And next on Today, what to know about the breast cancer vaccine now in its early trials.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
It's a great start this morning. A few sprinkles now, a few isolated showers later on this afternoon. I'll show you who's most likely to see the rain.
And President Biden will head to North Carolina today, where he'll stop this morning before getting a first-hand look at the devastation out to the west.
Plus, the efforts to find the hundreds of people unaccounted for continue to grow. The issues emergency responders are facing right now. Obviously, debris, one big thing, right? Then you have the roads that are impassable. So much that's happening out there right now. But help is still coming. Thank you so much for joining us here on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. We'll talk about that coming up. But first, we're going to get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Pretty dry for now.
It is. We're looking at cloudy skies. There might be a sprinkle or two as you're coming in. Sometimes the drizzle that happens with the low clouds that we're seeing is difficult for the radar to pick up on. We have a weak front that's back to the west. That comes moving in later on today, and that'll bring just an isolated shower. We'll take a live look at Zebulon right now, and you can see the gray skies here. We're really seeing that everywhere. Our dew point is at 65, and that's a little lower than yesterday. Gradually, we're going to see several weak fronts coming through the next few days that will eventually drop our dew points down until the big front comes through early next week, and I'll show you what that will feel like coming up. 69 is our temperature heading out in the triangle. 20% chance of a light shower or a sprinkle, and then a few isolated showers for us down around the time of the evening commute. We'll see a high of around 80 degrees this afternoon, and we're continuing to watch the potential development of a tropical system here in the Gulf of Mexico. It's only a 40% chance, and the front that comes through our area early next week is likely to park down here and keep all the moisture to our south. Florida may end up with some rain, but this doesn't look like it's going to be a major tropical system. There are a few other things that we're watching out there, though, and we'll take a look coming up. Ken?
All right, happening now in the WRAL traffic center. We want to start in Durham this morning, and then we've been following this morning. That's right at I-85 in the southbound lanes near TW Alexander Drive. Essentially, we're seeing, if we widen out the view, let's give you a wider view of what we're looking at. We're seeing delays in both directions there on I-885 this morning. If Highway 55 might be an alternate route for you, or Highway 70, depending on where you are and you want to get back into the Bull City this morning. So just keep that in mind as you're about to head out. I checked the sensors. You're looking at a 12 to 15-minute delay if you stay on I-885. Here in Wake County, things have definitely gotten better on the south side of the Beltline this morning. We're seeing the usual trouble spot on the north side of the Beltline. There's a live traffic cam at I-40 and Rock Quarry Road. You can see traffic flowing nicely in both directions. The westbound lanes coming toward us as well. Taking a look elsewhere this morning, in terms of delays, here's what you're looking at. The usual trouble spot this morning, we're looking at a 10-minute delay coming in from Wake Forest. Those of you coming in from Knightdale, you're looking at 8 minutes coming in on those southbound lanes of I-887 this morning. But we'll keep you posted here in the WRAL Traffic Center. Always know that you can listen to us on the radio at 101.5 HD3.
Ken, thank you. Today, President Joe Biden will visit North Carolina to meet with emergency responders. He'll also get a closer look at the devastation from Helene in the western part of our state. As WRAL's Kelsey Coffey shares, Biden will get a briefing right here in Raleigh before taking his tour.
Air Force One will land here at RDU in a few hours. President Biden will leave D.C. and head to Raleigh later this afternoon. The president will have a briefing with workers at the Emergency Operations Center. From there, he will go to Asheville for an aerial tour of the damage. As he flies over Asheville, the president will see a community devastated by catastrophic flooding. Helene brought in more than a foot of rain in Asheville over a 3-day period, the largest 3-day rain total on record for the city. President Biden approved a major disaster declaration for North Carolina over the weekend. Since then, people in 25 counties across the state are now eligible to apply for FEMA assistance. More counties could be added to that list as damage assessments continue. We'll have a crew here at RDU to keep you updated as the president arrives. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News at RDU.
Crews are working tirelessly to try and find people still missing in the flooding, and that effort is growing more desperate as time passes. WRAL's Brett Neese is in Asheville this morning. Brett, this is taking a toll on the first responders who also live in these communities. It's personal.
It really is. I mean, these are first responders who are a family with a lot of these people that have been lost. Here in Asheville, they have set up a number of new roadblocks to protect some of the damaged areas. Yesterday, we went to the Garin Creek community, which is near Black Mountain, and just take a look at some of the damage that we were able to see firsthand, thanks to the Garin Creek fire chief there, Wade Wright. He kind of gave us a tour of his home. He has spent his life there, and he's been the fire chief for a while now, and he showed us some of the hardest hit areas. These are areas that you can only get to by ATV or by foot. The damage just so awful, it's hard to put into words at times, and homes that have been completely wiped out. He pointed out a number of them that had people inside of them when this happened. The search and rescue effort only growing more desperate, and Wright is just trying to remain focused on his job as fire chief, despite some of these missing people being his own family.
I try not to think about it.
Really?
Yeah. I know it'll hit eventually, but we still have our moments, but I try not to think about it right now because we got other things to take care of.
The resilience this community is showing is unbelievable. They've come together at a nearby church. They set up kind of a focal point, a center point for people that have lost their homes. You can see the helicopter landing there. We were there as a supply drop happened, which is so important because the need for food, fresh water is so important for these people. Wright tells us that they've recovered 4 bodies at this point and are still searching for at least 6 more in their community alone. Live in Asheville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
And it's just heartbreaking to hear that there are still so many people that are missing right now and that people are being found dead. The town of Old Fort in McDowell County, it's trying to recover from Helene. This is a place that's about 25 miles east of Asheville. Homes and businesses in the downtown area, they are destroyed. Volunteers are bringing food, water, and other necessities in to help people who need it.
And today, volunteers from all around the Sandhills will be loading up supplies at the Moore County Airport. This has been a staging area for days since the storm. Thousands of pounds of goods are being shipped by truck and by air. Former military members even attaching parachutes to some of the boxes to be dropped in remote areas. And today, 15,000 pounds of hay will be loaded onto a plane to help horses and cattle and other farm animals in dire need of food in the western part of our state.
In just a few moments, Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson will be speaking about his storm relief efforts at a press conference. Robinson has been helping victims in western North Carolina, but now he's facing criticism for some of his actions and some of the things he did not do. In recent days, Robinson has called on Governor Roy Cooper to send more resources to people in the western part of our state. But WRAL reported this morning that Robinson did not vote for Cooper's request for emergency services last week. And when we asked Robinson's office why he did not vote to his chief of staff, well, he sent a statement that did not address the question. Former Governor Pat McCrory criticized Robinson for needing Cooper in the middle of a crisis, telling on the NC Capitol team, quote, "This is not a time for criticism. This is a time for working together. You don't do that while they're still in the middle of search and recovery." Robinson has been collecting supplies for people in need at the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. For more on his response to the storm, you can go to the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
Iran has launched its largest ever attack on Israel, firing about 180 ballistic missiles. It's another escalation of the months-long conflict between Israel and the Iran-backed militia Hezbollah. Israel has vowed to retaliate. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran had made, quote, "a big mistake and will pay." That's stoking fears of a wider all-out war between the two countries. President Joe Biden praised the U.S. role in thwarting Iran's missiles, though the White House does not believe Israel has made a decision on how to respond to the attack.
With just more than a month to go until Election Day, the vice presidential candidates made their pitch to Americans during a critical debate in New York last night. This is the first time Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz have faced off. The two talked about a range of issues, from the housing crisis to foreign policy. The debate took place just hours after Iran's attack on Israel. They also talked about something many Americans are concerned about: the economy.
Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do, we'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. When you do that, our system works best, more people are participating in it, and folks have the things that they need.
If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now.
The vice presidential candidates could have the final say, as former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris have not yet agreed to another debate. Coming up in about 30 minutes, a moment of unity during the debate as the candidates talked about the devastation caused by Helene.
NC State campus police are warning students and staff about a car theft. A wolf alert was issued last night saying that a 2016 black Hyundai Elantra was stolen from the Centennial Park and Ride on Oval Drive. This comes a week after another wolf alert was issued, warning students and staff about a series of car break-ins across campus. No information on suspects has been released.
A South Carolina dad took one walk to remember as Helene hit the area. We're going to talk about the obstacles he faced on a 27-mile journey to his daughter's wedding.
And we'll take you live out to Wake Forest this morning. Another cloudy day ahead of us. Elizabeth Gardner shares if rain will be in our forecast later today. Welcome back. Another cloudy start. This is a live look over North Hills as we watch WRAL News. Elizabeth Gardner tracking a couple of spotty showers, but we're not seeing anything heavy.
No, and there's very little out there right now. We do have cloudy skies, and those low clouds sometimes do bring a little bit of drizzle. You can see a touch of that showing up there in Granville County, but meteorologist Amy Wilmoth stepped outside a second ago and said, it's a little bit sprinkly too in parts of the triangle. So just be aware, and that will continue on and off for maybe another hour or two. Those low clouds will lift a little bit, but we're still pretty gray up through lunchtime. Into the afternoon, there may be a few more holes in the clouds, but we'll also have the chance of just a few isolated showers pop up. I'm tracking a weak front that'll be crossing the area later on this evening. And again, just a few light showers associated with that. Right now, we're taking a live look at RDU, and it is awfully gray out there right now. We had a few holes in the clouds earlier, but we've really filled those clouds in now. 70s the temperature. Our dew point is 66. That's a little lower than yesterday, but it's not getting into that, really really comfortable, refreshing feel that we often see in the fall. I love this photo from Jenny Burnett from Holly Springs. She found a few holes in the clouds there, got a little sliver of moon. Beautiful photo. We love your Weather Watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers, and send us a few. Raleigh 80, 78 Durham, 82 in Fayetteville for today. Lots of cloud cover out there and maybe a sprinkle or two, but hopefully you can get outside and get done whatever you need to get done. Things change toward the end of the week. High pressure will build in. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 80s. Our rain chances dwindle with this high pressure system moving in, but we're watching this next front. This is going to be the big one that comes in and brings us much cooler air, and you can see that cool air poised in Canada. That cold front is going to help usher that into our area by early next week. In the meantime, it stays on the muggy side for the next few days. You might notice by Sunday that dew point starts to drop a little bit, and the weekend should be just fine. We'll see partly cloudy skies both days, Saturday and Sunday, in the low 80s, and Sunday might feel a little less muggy than Saturday, but either day will be fine to get out if you need to get out and get anything done. And then after that, next week, we'll be watching that front that should deliver some much more refreshing fall-like air for us by the time we get to Tuesday.
And Jeff Hogan at the WRAL Live Center just taking a look at NC Electric cooperatives. Okay, and power is being restored as these cooperatives are coming together with help from cooperatives in 9 other states, coming into Western North Carolina and trying to get power restored there. If you take a look at the areas where they serve, it shows Haywood is one of those areas there that is heavily affected by it. Another area, if you pop up just north of there, is one of the places where the French Broad River runs through. And I want to do this properly by looking at some of these. That's the area where the French Broad is in there. There's also Rutherford County that is hard hit, that just crumbled, washed out roads, and landslides are causing great challenges for these crews. They're having to rebuild infrastructure there and get the electrical system back up. They have restored since Friday with the help of 30 electric cooperatives in North Carolina. They've been able to restore 150,000 of those folks, members of the co-ops there, but there are still 86,000 members that are experiencing outages in the area.
A lot of work still left. Thanks, Jeff. Well, Black Mountain holds a special place in the heart of Sylvia Hatchell. The retired UNC women's basketball coach owns a 200-acre property there. Her neighbors took these pictures and said her 2 cabins did not flood, but floodwaters wiped out all 400 of her blueberry bushes. The Tar Heel Traveler was there this summer and showed how the former coach invited people to pick those blueberries. In return, she encouraged folks to donate money to the UNC Lineberger Cancer Center. Hatchell says that she was just at her mountain home the weekend before Helene.
But, everybody's just so friendly and just, loves each other, and they all go to church together, and it's just a wonderful spirit up there. And I'm sure they're going to get through this. They're going to help each other. But what breaks my heart is so many of the homes are washed away and the people were in them, and those folks are no longer with us.
Hatchell says she'll try to head back to Black Mountain when the roads are cleared. She's offering up her cabins that also have generators to people needing a place to stay. That is wonderful. And WRAL wants to help those affected by the devastation in Western North Carolina. Today from noon until 7:30, our employees will be taking your donations during our WRAL Cares phone bank. We are working with the American Red Cross and with North Carolina's Disaster Relief Fund, which the United Way is helping manage. When you can call in, you can choose which of those organizations that you would like to donate to. You can also donate all day on WRAL.com. Search help on our site for more details.
Despite getting stuck in Helene, one father traveled 27 miles, most of it by foot, to be there on his daughter's wedding day. David Jones hit the road Friday night, and he traveled from South Carolina to his daughter Elizabeth's wedding in Johnson City, Tennessee. So it's usually about a 2-hour drive, but around 2 a.m., Jones got to a crumbled bridge and found himself stuck. Jones, a marathon runner, was determined to get there, even if it meant walking the rest of the way to the church. He says he fell into waist-deep sand at one point, lost a shoe, even climbed roots and trekked through mud. At one point, state troopers he met told him to turn around.
I said, well, you don't understand. My daughter's getting married at 11 o'clock this morning, and I'm going to be there to walk her down the aisle.
Jones made it to the church at around 7:30 a.m., just in time to walk his daughter down the aisle. In total, he walked 17 of those 27 miles for that memory.
Wow, dedication. He was not going to miss his daughter's wedding. I love that. Well, this week's Teacher of the Week worked in wildlife preservation and did a stint with AmeriCorps before making it to the classroom. WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a teacher known for his unique style of reaching students.
Now I will stop and be wholly attentive.
It took Professor Ryder Salmons 10-plus years after earning his undergraduate degree to make it to the classroom.
There is nothing but those things, only those created objects.
Some of that time was spent working in the great outdoors, educating school groups about wildlife preservation all across this country with one goal in mind: to be the best educator he can be.
I want to have experience from informal environmental education. I want to know what it's like to teach outside. I want to know so much of this country, from Minnesota to Colorado to New York.
Professor Salmons got his teaching license this past summer and landed his dream job at the City of Medicine Academy School in Durham.
I'm just so grateful that I get to work with students every single day, and people pay me for it.
For Professor Salmons, it's all about the children.
Their curiosity more than anything. The things that they notice that we as adults, we forget that science can be fun and joyful.
Professor Salmons, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations. How about it?
Hi.
Give him a hand.
Thank you very much.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
He was so surprised. He's like, hi, what are you doing in my classroom? That's amazing. If you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Best new way to surprise someone, just walk around the corner and present them with an award. I love that. So we're getting a first look at Nicole Kidman's new risky role, plus an iconic country music band is reuniting. Here's the Hollywood Nation this morning.
I don't know anything about geography.
Me neither.
Kelsey quizzes, Kidman risks it all, and Rascal Flatts reunite in the Hollywood Nation. Rascal Flatts is banding back together. After taking a 5-year hiatus, the country music icons will hit the road for their 2025 Life is a Highway tour to celebrate the band's 25th anniversary. The trio will perform their biggest hits, including Bless the Broken Road, What Hurts the Most, and Life is a Highway. The 21-city trek kicks off February 13th in Evansville, Indiana.
You're going to kill a whole lot of people, aren't you?
The Reacher universe is expanding. Prime Video is developing a spin-off series centering on Maria Sten's character, Frances Neely. The actor has starred alongside lead star Alan Ritchson in seasons 1 and 2 of the show and will also be a part of the upcoming 3rd season.
Is now a good time to introduce the interns?
Yeah. Nicole Kidman puts her career on the line in today's first looks. A24 released the trailer for the erotic thriller Baby Girl, starring the Oscar winner as a high-powered CEO who engages in a dangerous affair with her intern, played by Harris Dickinson. The film opens in theaters December 25th.
You guys ready to play?
Yeah! 3-time Super Bowl champion Travis Kelce is ready for game time as the host of Prime Video's Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? The show features contestants relying on celebs to help answer elementary school questions in hopes of winning the $100,000 grand prize. The spin-off game show premieres October 16th.
Good job. Travis Kelce stays busy. That was Anna Heliopoulos reporting. Hey, before we go to break, we did not forget, here are your winning lottery numbers. And of course, we're going to get you another check on your weather and your traffic. That's up next.